Man on the phone line right now, calls football games for Fox and is an integral member of the NFL Media Group talent evaluation community, certainly right there in the portion of the calendar, starting with the combine, ending with the draft. And he is, most importantly, I believe, the voice of the Run Rich Run simulcam extravaganza every single year. He's Charles Davis. How are you, Charles?
I'm doing well, and I am fired up for Run Rich Run and excited to still be a part of that. That part is really cool.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'm not looking forward to me being simulcam with Lamar Jackson. I think that's. If I could take a look at some of the people that I know are being pegged by our colleagues to have me simulcammed against, he's got to be one of them. He's got to be one of them.
There's no doubt. And what's different with him, Rich, is that we've talked about quarterbacks being fast in the past, but a lot of that is college fast and an element of quickness, and then they're very smooth in what they do. We probably thought Vince Young was fast coming out of college. I think Vince was like a mid-4.6 guy, right? Andrew Luck looked fast and strong at Stanford, ran in the 4.7s. I think Josh Johnson, would he run 4.55 when he came out of University of San Diego, and we thought that was super fast. I think Lamar Jackson's going to break 4.5. Now we're talking wide receiver speed. We're talking running back speed. This is a different speed at the quarterback position, and that's going to be a lot of fun for us to watch and evaluate. And I can't wait to see what offensive coordinator gets a chance to work with him.
So let's dig into that, because I think we're all talking about his viability at quarterback because Bill Polian thought he should be a wide receiver, quite frankly. I mean, that's where we are. What about his pro readiness? Can you tell me about Lamar Jackson? Sir.
It's going to be an interesting comparison, but for me, I compare him to how Dak Prescott progressed at Mississippi State. Different styles, obviously, different body types, definitely. But Dak Prescott broke big plays, running the football, physicality as a junior. I I wonder if at the next level he might be an H-back or a tight end. And then his senior year, I saw a dramatic improvement. I saw him better in the pocket, progressions, more accuracy throwing the football, all of those things. I feel the same way about Lamar Jackson. I thought, Rich, his Heisman year, he was like a big-time option quarterback that threw the ball deep off of play action and off of run fakes and got big plays out of it. And I'm not saying it like it was an easy thing to do. He had an incredible year, but he's so dynamic. He scared the heck out of people when he took snaps. But I thought last year I saw more of that pocket stuff. I saw more of him being accurate with the football. So like Dak Prescott, I think he's earned every right to be a quarterback in the NFL. And the NFL game has proven to us over the last few seasons that they are willing to move and meet these kids halfway coming out of college and get them ready to play earlier rather than the old, well, this is how we do it in the NFL, young fella. You got to learn how to do it this way, and we don't care about your college stuff. It's not like that anymore. And I think that that's a positive for the NFL and for the young guys coming out.
All right, let's start digging into the top of this draft here, Charles Davis. John Dorsey, the new general manager in Cleveland, became the latest. It's a step up. I mean, this happens every year. I mean, you could set your calendars, your watch to it, however you want to synchronize. He's the latest general manager, the number 1 overall pick, saying, I'm open for business if somebody wants to trade for him. So,
sure.
And Dave Gettleman said the same thing with the number 2 overall pick. And I'm imagining Chris Ballard is hoping that both of those picks stay in their current spots with the current teams. And for some reason, neither of them go ahead and choose a quarterback because either Cleveland has gone ahead and gotten somebody in free agency like Kirk Cousins, and the Giants go ahead and take somebody like Saquon Barkley 2nd overall. And the Colts might actually be in a catbird seat position 3rd overall with every quarterback still up for grabs and their phone ringing off the hook. So what do you think the Cleveland Browns should do at the top of this draft going into this combine, Charles Davis?
We're going to let's take free agency off the table then, Rich. No free agency.
Yeah, well, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that because I don't think Kirk Cousins is going to Cleveland. Right. I don't think he's going to be part of a complete rebuild from scratch when he's got an opportunity maybe somewhere in Denver or Minnesota to go to.
And both of those are top 3 defenses in the NFL.
Correct.
So you're playing with some pretty good studs there. All right, so if we're going to talk about Cleveland that way, I said in my mock draft, Rich, and it's the first of many, but I tongue-in-cheek said that Cleveland ought to keep 1 and 4 and pick quarterbacks at both spots. Ha, 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 ha. Right. Now, we know no one's going to do that, but that just tells you where they've been over the years. Hedge your bet. Like the last time we even came close to that, obviously people will look at Washington with RG3 and then coming back in the 4th to get Kirk Cousins. But years ago, the Houston Oilers got Dan Pastorini with the first pick they had, and their very next pick in the draft, they took Lynn Dickey out of Kansas State. Now, Dickey found his way in the NFL with Green Bay, et cetera. All I'm saying is they have missed so many times. The fan base is restless. The ownership has to be restless. Everyone's tired of hearing about you didn't take Wentz, you didn't take Goff, you didn't take this, you didn't take that. We can go right down the line of all the ones they didn't take. And they helped their team. Look at some of the draft picks. Those are good players, but they're not quarterbacks. So to me, Rich, they have to evaluate who they like best, decide on that guy, and pick him at one and not deal with anything else. I don't think you trade out of that unless you're getting a quarterback out of the deal that you really absolutely like. I don't think your fan base will stand for it. You've got to go get a guy that you think you're going to build around in their reset 18.0. I mean, that's really where we are with Cleveland.
Well, what I would do if I'm Cleveland is call up Dave Gettleman and say, look, the previous administration acted all Sam Hinkie-like and left me with a process amount of draft picks. What's your package to move down to 4? What do you want?
Yeah.
And then hear what he says, and then try and dial it down from 11 to about 9, and trade up and get both your quarterback and Saquon Barkley 1-2, rip the knob off, and do that, and then give the Giants what they hopefully look for, which is a quarterback that they think is at 4, or Quentin Nelson, who might be there to protect Eli in his final days.
Yes, and you know something, when I hear you talk that way, you know what I think about? I think about the Atlanta Falcons when they started their rebirth to where they are today. And it started, and Rich, we were together for that draft.
Yep.
It was right after Michael Vick. It was after all that happened, the city of unrest. Their favorite son will not be playing. And you're talking about drafting someone to replace Michael Vick. And remember, the outcry was vociferous. Remember that, Rich? Because everyone said, go get the defensive tackle because you're too far away as a team. Don't buy the quarterback now, he'll get killed. But you remember what they did? They took the quarterback at 3, which was Matt Ryan. Yep. And then Thomas Dimitroff traded back into the first round and got Sam Baker at left tackle. And in free agency, got Michael DeBurner Turner. And that team that started the transformation. And they went 11-5, went to the playoffs in Ryan's rookie year. Now, that doesn't work every single time. But what you're saying, that package is exactly where Cleveland has to go. Get your quarterback, get a runner like Barkley to help him out, and start creating that way. And, of course, they've still got to talk Joe Thomas into coming back. That's a big piece.
Well, I think that would help. I think that would help him help in that process. Charles Davis here on the Rich Eisen Show. First coach up yesterday, your guy Jon Gruden, you go way back in the day with, and I'm just hearing him with it talk about analytics, and a lot of people are critical that he wants to go back to 1998. He's going to get a fullback for Marshawn Lynch, et cetera, et cetera. And they made fun of that. I think he's just playing a little bit of a game right here. Okay,
you know, Coach Gruden.
I think he's playing a little. That he knows,
smart like a fox. He knows.
He is as on the cutting edge of what works offensively on a gridiron than anybody else. And I think that the offense is ready to roll with the current members. They might draft 1 or 2. It just depends on how they tighten the bolts on defense for the Raiders to win that division next year and compete. How do you think it's going to work with Jon Gruden?
Oh, I think it's going to work well. And John wasn't coming back unless he went to a place that had, like every coach talks about, who's got a quarterback. And it had one that he liked, and that's Derek Carr. And we all know that last year's record with Oakland was not what anyone expected. We expected that to be a strong possibility of being a playoff team, and I think we all expect them to actually be a playoff team. So he thinks that, the things that he talked about, he may have dismissed analytics. He's being smart like a fox. He'll do that stuff behind the scenes. But getting a fullback for Marshawn Lynch, that's not out of the question. John wants to grind people. He wants to smack them around a little bit. And that will help in a big way, as we well know. The second piece of that is he's already sent Marshawn a message. Remember last year they were talking about ramping things up and, kind of taking care of him and nursing him through the season and turning him loose in the playoffs? John's like, I got to get to the playoffs before I turn anyone loose. We're not doing that this year. So, Marshawn, be ready to go. Because remember Cadillac Williams?
Sure.
Remember when John had him?
Well, he ran him into the ground for the first 3 weeks, right? He set a record, didn't he, for rookie backs?
Exactly. So if I'm Marshawn, I'd pop on that tape, and then I'd go out and run extra sprints every day and get in the weight room because John's going to hand you. Well, he's going to be the John McKay. When they say, John, you've handed it to him 30 times the last 3 games, ball's not that heavy. and he'll just move on.
Ask him the poll question, Brockman. Ask Charles Davis the poll question. I know he'll probably have an interesting take on it.
Yeah, Charles, did you see James Harden last night?
I certainly did.
All
It
right.
was hard to miss, and my heart went out to Wesley Johnson.
Yeah, well, what's the
and his family?
Of course. So what is the most disrespectful move in sports? Is it what Harden did, dunking on someone, hurdling over someone, the bat flip stare down, or the Usain Bolt turn around and point while crossing the finish line?
What do you think, Charles?
Well, I'm throwing out Usain Bolt because only he can do that. I mean, that's not an everyday move.
Well, hold on a second. Didn't Tyreek Hill do that to a couple people, like wave at them as he's getting in the end zone?
He did, but I don't count the football and the track. It's just a little bit different because of ankles and all. But anyway, I throw that one out. What Harden did last night is the one. I've got a son who's playing college basketball on the Division II level, and I heard from him already this morning. That's the one that gets their attention. Getting dunked on is one thing because the guy might be 6'4" and you're 5'11". Okay, that's going to happen to you. But when you get your ankles broken and you end up on your butt like that, that's the move everyone celebrates. That's the disrespectful one. I'm going with that one because that's the one that would keep you up every night because all you're seeing is highlights flashing in front of you as they do it all the time, and it's just a killer.
Oh, that was a rough
one. An absolute killer.
Oh man, Charles, I'll see you soon. I'll see you at the shop. I'll see you shortly.
I will see you at the shop. Thanks. Take care.
That's Charles Davis. He'll be in that meeting later on today.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.